July is Client Appreciation Month at Sport Clips Haircuts. Get a double MVP for the price of an MVP, or cool it down and try the MVP on ice. It's our way of saying thanks for all you do. Hurry, ends July 31st. Sport Clips. It's good to be a guy.
This is the Best of Mike and Mike podcast on ESPNradio.com. The Best of Mike and Mike.
Hi, it's Greeny. Thank you for checking out the Best of Mike and Mike podcast. This is what we have for you from Wednesday. NBA free agency developing throughout the morning. Chris Broussard in our studio with the very latest. We are fully behind the U.S. women's national team, and we had Carli Lloyd, one of the heroes, on talking about beating Germany and preparing for the World Cup final. Plus, what do you say to your wife and your kids when you traded 4 times in a week? You'll hear it from Luke Ridnour. And Bubba, feisty, in Love It or Shove It.
The Best of Mike and Mike.
Good morning. We are back and better than ever. Mike and Mike, presented by Progressive Insurance. Our guests on the Subway First Take Hotline. And as we approach the 4th of July, our finest female footballers are making us proud. What a terrific game that was last night as the U.S. beats Germany. We will spend plenty of time on that this morning. I know you were into it because I was watching you on Twitter. I watched every second of it last night. That was a lot of fun. A terrific event, and the American women played so well. Again, plenty of time on that this morning, but then the clock struck midnight.
Yes, it did.
And all heck broke loose in the NBA. Welcome to the 1st of July. DeAndre Jordan, LaMarcus Aldridge, Greg Monroe, and especially Anthony Davis.
Yeah, how about it? That one. I'm sure there were a lot of people scratching their heads at, wait a minute, Anthony Davis was neither a restricted free agent or a free agent, but we'll get into that. The part I love is everybody, from the, especially from the West Coast is so, biased. Oh, East Coast bias. Well, free agency goes on East Coast time. The West Coast had the advantage.
Yeah.
They could have dinner with these guys because it was 9 o'clock West Coast time when free agent actually hit. So a perfect evening to start your recruiting on the West Coast.
And the really big deal, again, a lot of this probably happened while you were asleep. If you're just waking up along with us here this morning, Anthony Davis agrees to a 5-year extension with New Orleans that will kick in after next year. That depending upon what the new salary cap numbers come in to be, it's estimated to be worth about $145 million, which will make it the richest contract in NBA history. Now, get used to hearing that, because as these guys come up year after year, time after time, LeBron and Kevin Durant and all these others, assuming Durant's foot is okay, you're going to keep hearing richest contract in the history of the NBA. They're going to obliterate all previous numbers because of the colossal increase in salary cap numbers that are on their way. I read a note this morning that the salary cap in the NBA has never jumped more than $7 million in any one year. It has jumped a total of $17 million in the last 10 years. It's going to jump $40 million in the next 2 years.
Yeah.
So these numbers are going to go all over the place.
They're going to be dwarfed.
The most important thing is Anthony Davis tweeting, NOLA, I am here to stay, just getting started. Hashtag 6 more years. Hashtag take flight. So the point is, we wondered for a while, is Anthony Davis going to lock himself up to New Orleans? Now it's not for the rest of his life, but it's for 6 more years until he's 28 years old. They're going to build around Anthony Davis in New Orleans, and to me, that's a great thing.
Oh, I think it's a fantastic thing. Kudos to New Orleans for doing that. That one I don't know how many people saw coming that they were going to get that done, and Anthony Davis was going to say, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and sign that. Again, it doesn't even start to kick in until after next year. So now will that, depending on his progress, which already his progress has him right near the top of the league, if not that guy right now, does that become a destination place? When will he start to get involved in the recruiting process, and making his phone calls out to other superstars? Hey, come play here, and let's see where we can take this thing. I think it's fantastic that he is staying there, and New Orleans could potentially, turn into one of those contending teams.
Well, the old expression is that a fence is only as strong as its weakest link, or a chain is only as strong as its weakest link. And I think that holds for sports as well. One of the reasons that the NFL has been so popular is that it isn't tilted so heavily towards just the biggest cities and the biggest markets. It's the reason that Brett Favre played most of his career in Green Bay, Wisconsin, and Peyton Manning played most of his career in Indianapolis, Indiana, and so on and so on. And for many years, that was not the case in the NBA. Guys couldn't wait to get out of these smaller cities and get to the bigger cities, as was the case in baseball, where you just every single time a guy came up and he was really good in Kansas City, you said, well, how long till he's a Yankee? Well, all of a sudden, here you go. Maybe Kevin Durant does decide to play his career its entirety in Oklahoma City. Maybe Russell Westbrook does the same. Maybe Anthony Davis stays in New Orleans. You've got guys in their cities. The Bird rules, help that along the way one way or another. To me, if New Orleans, like was the case with Chris Paul, where they just had to give him away, that's a bad thing. Then why bother having a team there?
That's exactly right.
And it's a great city. It's a great fun. I think it's terrific.
What it turns out to be is a tease for the fans there. Say, we have this great player, but we know he's going to leave at some point. Now Anthony Davis just put the kibosh on that. I'm with you. I think it's fantastic, and we'll wonder, just what you said, when we start to see some of these guys stay put. We already see a couple of young superstars that are staying put and are going to stay with that team to keep being built around as they progress even more. And I don't think we're seeing the end of these superstars getting together and playing, but it certainly seems we're in a direction of guys, or we know of at least these guys, and we'll talk about Jimmy Butler and Kawhi Leonard, two rising superstars, deciding just to stay put where they are.
Kawhi, as you just mentioned, Kawhi Leonard and Jimmy Butler staying where they are for roughly 5-year and $90 million contracts, which is the max that they were able to receive.
And again, when you see 5-year, $90 million, Jimmy Butler's probably going to sign a 3-year deal or a 4-year deal with a player option. All these guys are going to time it up to hit this huge salary cap jump. But the San Antonio and Chicago offered what they could to say, hey, we want you here, and then they'll work out the deal. None of these deals, by the way, can be signed till July 9th. Once all the revenue is looked at and they decide what the cap is. So all you're going to hear about is agreed to, never not signed until July 9th. But that's what's going on. The likes of Jimmy Butler has canceled visits with the Lakers, with Boston, with the 76ers, with Dallas. So he's staying put, and then it's just a matter, as I said, when you can start to sign, what's the actual deal he's going to sign so these guys can get even richer in a couple of more years.
And I keep hearing Chris Carter's voice in my head where he talks about player development. Look at a guy like Jimmy Butler. Mm-hmm. Jimmy Butler went to a junior college. Right before he went to Marquette, Jimmy Butler went to a JUCO. Yeah. This was not a guy who was coming out of high school and was a one and done, and everyone thought was going to be a superstar. He came to the NBA, no one knew who he was. I remember when he was that first year in the playoffs when the Bulls played LeBron and the Heat as tough as they did, and Jimmy Butler played 48 minutes a game and was guarding LeBron, and people around the league were like, wow, this guy Jimmy Butler can play a little bit. And then he develops an offensive game. He should go find Tom Thibodeau and give him the biggest hug in the world for helping develop him into a superstar who's now going to be, he's going to make himself $100 million in the NBA. And it's a great example of a guy putting in the work. He has the skills. If I stood next to him at the All-Star game, he's much bigger than I had realized.
Yeah, I completely agree with that.
He's got the whole package. He's a terrific player. Kawhi Leonard's a terrific player. I mean, there's great young players getting locked up in big deals.
And with Butler, there was that slight trepidation. Did he and Rose not get along? Yeah. Where was that relationship?
I thought there was a real chance he was going to go to the Lakers for 2 years.
I did as well. And I mean, that was one of the teams I know you had mentioned, and I agree, the Lakers, of how they could maybe cash in on this offseason with some of the free agents or some of the pieces that they could put together, especially when you heard maybe there was, a little bit, just kind of what we heard with DeAndre Jordan and Chris Paul with the Clippers, though Jordan, is not really happy being the third wheel. We'll get into that whole situation. But so good for these guys staying with their teams, Butler and Kawhi Leonard, and really the surprising one, the Anthony Davis money. Nothing like signing a $145 million deal that really we're not sure it's going to be $145 million yet. Could certainly be more than that.
Yeah, his option will be to opt out of it after 4 years if $145 million doesn't seem like it's enough. Again, LeBron is in a position probably 2 years down the road to sign a contract whose worth will be $200 million. And let's put some numbers specific numbers to what we were talking about. Again, the cap has never jumped more than $7 million in any given year. The cap for this coming year is estimated to be about $67 million. The following year, $89 million. The year after that, $108 million. So again, in the next 2 years, it's expected to jump a little over $40 million. So that's where they are in the NBA right now. It's TV money that's flying in.
Think the league's doing okay right now?
League is doing. Look, they're awash in money, and they've done a terrific job.
Yep.
They have done a terrific job, and they had a great final this year. They've got an extremely attractive roster of superstars who get it. They've got good players spread around the league. They've got fans excited in a variety of different places. They've done a terrific job of attaching themselves into the culture in places that they've attract young people. I mean, everyone from my 12-year-old son can't get enough of it, all the way through. I think they're now attracting older people as well. They've done a great job. They've done a great job. They deserve to be in the position that they're in. So that's where they stand as of right now. Mike and Mike presented by Progressive Insurance. We'll compare rates for you so you get the best deal, even if it's not with us, saving you time and money. Now that's Progressive. Call or click today. A fun thing to do is just click on the timeline of one of the NBA insiders and just read back. Just sort of go through everything that's been going on. So I've just got Mark Stein's timeline open, starting right at midnight Eastern time, where at about 11:45 he tweeted, the 2015-16 NBA season starts in earnest in 10 minutes. And then he starts going through all the deals. Brooke Lopez and Thaddeus Young will have verbal agreements with the Nets not long after midnight. Then, boom, New Orleans and Anthony Davis verbally agree, 5-year contract extension, $145 million. Then, DeAndre Jordan, ESPN sources say Mavericks having dinner with DeAndre Jordan as we speak. DeAndre Jordan initially supposed to start meetings tomorrow. Mavs standing in the DeAndre race gets them sit down right after midnight. Also hearing Mavs have split up their recruiting posse and are conducting 2 meetings at present, one with DeAndre, one with Wes Matthews. And then he goes on. Chris Middleton, 5 years, $70 million to stay in Milwaukee. After the Knicks had a sit-down with Greg Monroe in D.C. shortly after midnight, Milwaukee got its audience with Monroe starting at around 2 a.m. So teams were busy on both coasts. Late dinners or early breakfasts or whatever you want. Look, when there's $100 million on the table, people will lose a night's sleep.
That's exactly right. You're hopefully bringing in a celebrity chef as well to cook up a nice meal. But that's what.
Well, if it's Michael Simon, he's only cooking for the Cleveland.
That's exactly right.
He's cooking for Cleveland.
He's not helping anybody else. That's for sure. I'm sure he's hearing Kevin Love is going to meet with the Lakers, but looks like he's going to sign back with Cleveland. But he's even going to meet with the Lakers, I'm sure, may make some Cleveland fans who wanted him back a little nervous. But that's where we are. This is where we are in free agency when that 12:01 hits. Which, by the way, did Greg Popovich give the best response to that?
Yeah.
Again, 12:01 Eastern time, start of free agency. So wherever you are, West Coast, that's 9 o'clock, you're out to dinner. But these guys don't care. They're having dinner at midnight, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. So everybody getting a jump on free agency. And here's the San Antonio Spurs, this great team still trying to stay together, to hang on, really talking about LaMarcus Aldridge to try and get him there. So they're going to be in that sweepstakes. So how does Greg Popovich feel about that 12:01 free agency? So let's start getting these guys.
Quote, I'm not calling anyone at midnight. I'll be in bed.
There you go.
And if that's the difference in someone coming or not coming, then I don't want them.
I love it.
That's what Popovich told the San Antonio Express News on Monday. But obviously, look, Greg Popovich's resume speaks for itself, and his superstar will speak for him. Our Chris Broussard said on SportsCenter yesterday, Tim Duncan could be a big factor in tempting LaMarcus Aldridge to come to San Antonio.
LaMarcus Aldridge is a big fan of Tim Duncan. He's a big fan of San Antonio as a city. He's a big fan of Greg Popovich. So, even though he competes against Duncan, he's a lot younger. So he grew up watching Duncan win championships, so to some degree modeling his game after Tim Duncan. It's to have Duncan sit there and say, look, I'm going to pass the torch to you. I'll be there with you this year, and we can win a championship. But then it's yours. I'm going to pass the torch to you. That's going to be hard for LaMarcus Aldridge to turn down.
Big man in this game of today that can spread the floor, shoots the three.
He's a great player.
I mean, he really is. Obviously, there's a lot of free agents out there, but keeping an eye on him, especially going to a team like San Antonio, which continues to try and make these runs with Tim Duncan still doing his thing, that would just be an incredible pairing.
Here I just said this thing about markets. The one thing I'll say, this may contradict what I just said. If LaMarcus Aldridge didn't play in Portland, people would pay a lot more attention to him.
That is true.
He's a terrific player. And if he winds up there, then that, you talk about a guy, Duncan might wind up playing 22 minutes a game.
Right, but also going back to your argument for markets, it's going from Portland to San Antonio, not like he's going to the Mecca.
Right.
The New York's and LA's and big markets. San Antonio is a wonderful place. Been there a few times, but you don't say San Antonio and think this large market team. These guys go, again, the money's going to be the same for them. That's the one thing about the NBA. You go where you feel you have your best opportunity for whatever you want. Whether it's to get to play for a championship team or be more of the man, which could be a situation with a Kevin Love if he leaves, or DeAndre Jordan if he leaves the Clippers, thinking they want to be a more important person on another team.
And for what it's worth, if you want to juxtapose the two great players of their generation finishing up their careers here, look at Duncan recruiting LaMarcus Aldridge. And what is Duncan's biggest contribution? Whatever it is, and Chris Broussard just talked about what Duncan might say to LaMarcus Aldridge. But what really mattered far more that Duncan did. Look at the money that Duncan is not getting paid, despite everything that he has meant to that franchise, so that they have room. Every note about the Lakers points out they don't have room for 2 max contracts.
Right.
They don't. Because Kobe's taking up a lot of that room.
Right.
That's just the reality. Now, I've said it before. If I'm Kobe, I'm taking every penny that I can get from that. I've made them 10 times what they're paying me.
And that's fine, but there are consequences that come of that.
Correct.
Yeah.
It means that they're not getting, 2 max players in this summer. As far as DeAndre Jordan is concerned, his situation in LA, he had the dinner with Jamie Foxx.
Right, yes, and Doc, yep.
The other night. But our Mark Stein is saying that there are a lot of other places where there is a lot of interest in DeAndre Jordan.
DeAndre Jordan is a bit more of a coin flip now. The Mavericks are definitely making inroads and trying to steal him from the Clippers, but that's by no means a sure thing. The Clippers are kind of quietly optimistic that they're going to be able to keep him, but both the Mavs and the New York Knicks are really pushing hard for DeAndre Jordan.
I'm very confused by the Knicks pushing hard for DeAndre Jordan. I like DeAndre Jordan. I think that he is a terrific piece of a team so long as you have the right other pieces around him. In fact, I think what he does, he's perfect for where he is. Catch lobs, play defense, get rebounds, and let Chris Paul and Blake Griffin do most of the scoring.
Not a ton of an offensive game there.
No, I mean, he just basically dunks.
He shot over 71% from the field because he was shooting 0-footers.
Right.
I mean,
0-footers.
It certainly can't help. But I mean, that's what he shot. You give him credit for it, but you don't think of him as this offensive juggernaut on his own. And now you're talking about the Knicks, as we were talking before the show, and Phil and what he wants. Does a DeAndre Jordan fit that?
I don't see it. If you're looking to run a triangle offense, and again, I think a lot of people hear that term and don't really know what it means. A triangle offense is a triple post offense. It requires a big man with skills, deft skills, passing the ball, moving the ball, knocking down short range jump shots. Not just dunking, not just creating screen and roll and rolling to the basket and catching lobs. Exactly the opposite of what Phil Jackson said on our show. This past year, that's a great stat.
It really is.
That's a great stat. DeAndre Jordan attempted 534 field goals this season. 520 of them came within 5 feet
but you know
of the
what?
basket.
When you're discussing basketball realistically, that's what you want, isn't it? You want the best percentage shot, and the best percentage shot is normally a dunk, but we know the league has changed.
Correct, but that's not Phil. That's not what he's talking about. You're not getting that in Phil's offense. Go back and find how many times Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant threw lobs. That's not what they do. So DeAndre Jordan, again, I like him, and I like him coming to the Knicks, but I don't understand how that's building the team that Phil says he wants to build. Yeah. So is that just we need to get somebody so we can say we got
big
somebody?
Games that we're building, that we're doing that to show the fans. I agree with you. It is a bit of a head scratcher as how he would fit into that offense.
All right, July is here, so free agency is here. It's what everybody's talking about. Brought to you by Myrtle Beach Golf Holiday. Start planning your getaway to Golf Town, USA. Visit online at myrtlebeachgolfholiday.com. All right, this was great last night. Oh, the party was in Montreal last night for the American women.
And they've got some places to party.
Montreal?
I'm sorry.
Do they?
Yeah.
I haven't spent much time up there. I've heard it's a great city.
Yeah, no, it is a great city. I haven't spent a ton of time either, but I certainly have heard stories.
Okay. Thank you for slowing up my thought.
I'm sure that really hurts you.
USA beats Germany 2-0 last night in what I thought was a sensational game in the semifinals of the World Cup, which continues to make no sense to me whatsoever. Germany is 1 in the world. We're 2 in the world. Tonight, England and Japan are playing each other. They're 4 and 6 in the world for the right to play us in the final on Sunday. But what's the difference? We won. And it was a sensational game, and I'll tell you what, it scared me to death. Because if you watch that game, the American women, if you've watched this tournament, and I've watched them play every game, they played so well in the first half.
Yeah, they
did not score.
No, didn't score.
Had a million chances and did not score. And then the beginning of the second half, Germany had a bunch of chances, including a penalty kick.
They did. They seemed to be down in our end a lot in the beginning of the second half. And then they listen, while we played better, without question, we got a couple of breaks.
Several big breaks.
No doubt we got a couple of breaks in that 59th minute when Julie Johnston, she pulled down Alexandra Pop in the penalty box. Should have been a red card. We should have lost her for the rest of the game. Should have been down a person, but we didn't. She got a yellow card instead, and the penalty kick was just flat out missed.
By the woman whose name is pronounced just like sausage.
Sausage. It's spelled
all
like,
night long. It's SASIC.
but pronounced sausage.
Yeah, sausage. Which just every time they said it on the telecast, but for some reason I just found it
Twitter
funny.
world was exploding on that one.
But either way, and how about Hope Solo? Hope Solo, when they're setting up for this penalty kick, she went and got a sandwich.
Yeah,
I mean,
she did.
How long did she walk out of the net for?
She delayed it so much, and I heard a bit of a breakdown of Sausage, who had a couple of penalty shots, how she would just keep her eyes on the ball and then get ready to shoot. And Hope Solo delayed this so much, she started looking around a little bit, and they thought maybe took her out of her game a little bit. Who knows if that's true or not? The bottom line is she missed the penalty kick. So, no damage done there. And then Alex Moore, then the other thing we escaped, Alex Morgan had a penalty committed against her, which the referee said was in the penalty box, but it wasn't in the penalty box.
Just outside.
Just outside the penalty box.
It was closer than – they made it sound on the telecast like this was some horrible call. This was awfully close.
Again, and we had the luxury of looking at it in slow motion on replay where the referee does not.
Correct. I don't know why. I mean, it's – those little tiny things. Again, I don't like parachuting into a sport that we otherwise never pay attention to and tell them how to do their business. But why they don't have instant replay for things like this in FIFA, I have no earthly idea.
Listen, I'm with you there, because when you saw it
decides the whole game.
It was outside the penalty box, but the referee says it was inside. Carli Lloyd hits the penalty shot, then later.
Oh, did she drill that?
That was, well, again, it's the goalie has just picked a side. I mean, that's all the goalie can do.
Go tell that to Sausage.
Well, no, I know. Unless whoever kicking it misses the goal completely, the goalie just kind of picks a side. And then Carli Lloyd later in the 85th minute had a beautiful cross to Kelly O'Hara to seal that deal to make it 2-0. So what a great win for USA.
It was a fabulous win.
Really,
now they
really
go to the play in the final on Sunday. They'll play either Japan or England. If they play Japan, correct.
Beat us in the final last time.
Japan beat the American women 4 years ago to win the Women's World Cup. Again, this is 4 versus 6 in the world tonight for the right to play us number 2, but we have a chance, obviously, to win the World Cup, which would make being number 2 in the world completely irrelevant.
The best of Mike and Mike.
Mike and Mike.
Guys, at Sport Clips Haircuts, we appreciate everything you do. So this month, we're giving you double the Sport Clips MVP experience for the price of a single. It's the Sport Clips Instant Replay. After your haircut, go into overtime on our legendary hot towel treatment. Enjoy a double header of our massaging shampoo and soothing scalp treatment. And beat the heat with our new MVP on ice. Our legendary hot towel becomes the refreshing chilled towel at no extra charge. Sport Clips, it's good to be a guy.
Mike and Mike.
Chris Broussard in our studio. Guys, Stephen A. Smith is listening, and he tweeted at Golic after the comments that Mike just made about Dwayne Wade and whether Dwayne Wade might take less money to go somewhere else just because he's upset with the way the Heat are treating him. And Stephen A. tweeted, hey, Golic, hey, at ESPN Golic, you're absolutely right. It is a business. Just make sure to remind the world of just that when players refuse pay cuts.
Completely agree. Listen, one of the hardest things to do. I was an average player, and I took it personal when the way Philly negotiated with me when I ended up going to Miami. You know, imagine these star like Dwayne Wade, who's been in Miami his entire career for 12 years, how personal it does have to feel. But it is a business, and Stephen A. is right, and I said this before. The players, they can refuse to take pay cuts. You know what this comes down to? Who has the most leverage? Who can swing the bigger leverage hammer when they can? Does Dwayne Wade have any leverage here? I mean, does what kind of leverage does he have?
He really does.
That's what I thought.
Because as great as Dwayne Wade is, and as much as he means to that franchise, and he's been the greatest player in that franchise history. I mean,
Yes,
you know, LeBron was a better player. But Shaq historically was a better player. But still,
right.
12 years
Yeah,
there,
no doubt.
the championships, all that. But if they lose him, it's not the end of the world for the Heat. I hate to say it, but it's not. You know, and I don't think they will lose him because I don't think he has a ton of leverage. Yeah, the Lakers like him, but their priorities are get one of these power forwards, LaMarcus Aldridge or Kevin Love, or a center like DeAndre Jordan. And if they get one of the power forwards, they're going after another center, like a lower tier center that could play next to them before they even address Wade and other things. Same for the Knicks. If the Knicks strike out and can't get anybody and have all this cap room, they may say, you know what? Let's pair Wade and Melo for a year. We can overpay Dwayne for this year and just 1 year, you know, and then next year have cap room again. So he doesn't have the leverage to go out. And this is the thing, and I'm not trying, obviously, to put anything between guys, but Dwayne took $10 million less last year because he wanted to bring LeBron back. That's his buddy. LeBron, he could have told Dwayne on the side, look, just keep
your money.
Yeah, keep your money.
Happening.
Exactly.
Right.
You know, don't say nothing, but keep your money. You know, so Tim Duncan's taking pay cuts too. He's not holding it over the Spurs' head right now, saying, look, I've given up $50 million or whatever it is to win championships. Pay me now. You know, so as long as the Heat offer Dwayne a reasonable, respectable salary, and I think something like, if he could get $50 million over 3 years or something like that, that's more than he's getting anywhere else.
Okay, let's go through the other guys fast. LaMarcus Aldridge, go.
Well, you know, he met with the Lakers last night. I'm told it went well, you know, by the Lakers, of course. That it went well.
It always went well.
Yeah. But he's meeting with too many teams. I don't know why he's meeting with 7 teams. He's not going to Toronto. He's not going to Phoenix. You know, it's going to be the Spurs or the Lakers. Dallas is a distant, I won't say this, slim chance. Or he just refuses to give up that $27 million that Portland can pay him and goes back. But not many people see that happening. I think it's the Spurs or the Lakers.
DeAndre Jordan?
Dallas, man. Well, every time I talk to people really close to this situation, close to DeAndre, they talk like he's going to Dallas, and then you ask him for a number. But it's 50-50. You know, Dallas or the Clippers. The Clippers are scared. I mean, they feel confident he'll stay, but they are concerned about the Mavericks. And then there are some people around there that think maybe he goes to the Lakers because he loves L.A. He really likes the lifestyle in L.A. You know, he's been there 7 years, so he's gotten, you know, he's got a home there and he's just comfortable there. So if he doesn't want to leave there but wants a little more shine, and let's face it, you might think, oh, if he were to go down the hall and play for the Lakers, I mean, people will think he's a traitor and a betrayal. The Lakers are the team in L.A. still. So L.A., he probably would become more popular in Los Angeles if he were to go to the Lakers.
Yeah. Mike Broussard's in our studio. Kevin Love.
You know, I think Cleveland, but I'm not going to rule out the Lakers. You know, they're going to have a nice pitch for him. It's going to be about, you can be a star here. It's going to be about, we've got tons of cap room next year to go out and add to this team. It's about how much he already loves L.A. He lives there in the off season. It's about the global opportunities, you know, for your brand and everything. So I think he stays in Cleveland, but when the Lakers get him in the room, you know, they're going to have a nice pitch that appeals to him.
Listen, when push comes to shove, does LeBron want Kevin Love in Cleveland?
He does want Kevin Love, okay? There are players he would probably like better.
like if a LaMarcus Aldridge, if they could do that sign and trade with Portland, I mean, he'd love that. But he does, like Kevin Love, understands the value he has to the team. And he also understands that Love's an asset, and Cleveland understands that too. Even if you give him a long-term deal, and even if it doesn't work out, maybe then you have an asset, a piece that you can trade for value. But the tension was this. Love does not want to go into a losing situation. I think that's why the Lakers have, because they drafted Russell, because Julius Randle is coming back, and by all, indications, looks like he's going to be a good player, because they can probably get another solid, maybe a Robin Lopez or a Tyson Chandler to put next to whoever that power forward is. They're not going to be bad. So Love can say, that's a pretty good situation, and I could win there. He doesn't want to lose, but he's not happy with his role in Cleveland. And I understand it.
Could he be doing this for next year? Love, maybe not go to the Lakers, obviously now, but obviously have that deal where he plays for the Cavs and kind of get that, see what the Lakers are doing now and say, we go and try and win my championship here as the third wheel, and then make my move over to LA.
I think that's the smartest thing to do. Now, that's the debate. Does he take the 5-year offer from Cleveland for the max, or does he take, say, a 2-year offer max, but a player option after one? I think that's his best move. Now,
I would agree.
The only thing is he's had some injury problems. He's, every year he misses a few games here and there. So he's not the Iron Man like a LeBron James or DeAndre Jordan has been, where he could, he knows he's going to be healthy. But I play 1 year with Cleveland. You may win a championship, even if they don't change your role, and you win a title. Everyone in the league would see, man, they're not using him right, but he's a champion. And then you leave in free agency, and your value is sky high. Or they do change your role. You're a little more involved in the offense. You still maybe win a championship, and things are good there. Or they change your role, you win a championship, and you still could leave because you just don't like Cleveland. You'd rather live in L.A.
Mike and Broussard, quickly, what is the significance of the Anthony Davis deal?
Well, it's big because there's rumblings around the league that, he doesn't really like it in New Orleans. He might want to leave, He was somewhat close with Coach Monty Williams, who obviously was fired. So people thought, well, maybe he'll want to go. So now you got him locked up. Alvin Gentry, they're all happy. But Alvin Gentry, he's finally getting a good shot. Phoenix, was a decent team he had. When he coached the Clippers, they didn't have a lot of talent. Now he's got a good shot to be successful.
All right, Chris Broussard is here. He will be on TV all day long, SportsCenter and all the other programs with the very latest on all of the NBA wheeling and dealing.
Glad you made it in the building. And I will try one of your little
chai tea latte.
Yeah, because it tastes like cake.
Yes. Yes. That's all you need to know.
The best of Mike and Mike.
Mike and Mike.
It's got to be a good feeling to sign a $145 million contract. Get used to it. He hasn't signed it yet, by the way. These are all agreed to. They can't make these deals for a few more days, but that's the formality. And get used to hearing the words most expensive contract or most valuable contract in NBA history.
That's going to change.
You're going to hear it a lot over the next 2 years. Again, the salary cap has gone up $17 million in the last 10 years combined. In the next 2, it's going to go up $40 million in the NBA. So they're going to be throwing money around. Look, big-time sports have exploded in popularity, and they're all awash in cash. Look at the money being thrown around in baseball.
It's incredible.
Insane amounts of money because they have it. And now in basketball, same thing. They have it.
Yep.
And before people start saying, oh, these athletes, they make too much money, well, who do you want the money to go to? You want to just give all of it to the billionaire owners? Give it to the players.
Yeah, I mean, that's why they have the CBAs and the revenue split, and that they're splitting this revenue. So as the players are signing these bigger deals, guess what? The teams are getting more money as well. They're splitting the revenue, and the pie just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger that they're splitting.
We're Mike and Mike, presented by Progressive Insurance. Tom Penn, our NBA front office insider, will be in our studio with his Subway Fresh take a little bit later in this hour. We'll have Jason Stark today as well, trivia and more. Luke Ridnour, he's been traded 4 times in the last 6 days. Just check in with him and see where his head is right now.
Or where he is, geographically.
That and more. By the way, speaking of contracts, Adam Schefter just tweeted this. Many of you are aware that Bobby Bonilla, back in his playing days with the Mets, and we're going back 20-plus years, signed a contract that continues to pay him to this very day. In fact, on this very day, July 1st, and every July 1st through 2035, he will collect a little less than $1.2 million.
Now, he wasn't getting paid all this time, if I remember correctly. It was deferred until now. And now he goes forward for the next 25 years, I believe.
Here's how much money Bobby Bonilla is getting. He's getting paid $1.2 million today. He is making the same amount of money or more right now than Mike Trout, Draymond Green, Russell Wilson. None of those guys is making as much money as he is. The deferred money kicked in and whatever it is, and we're going to get into all the details. The bottom line of it is the deal expires in 2035, at which point he will have been paid about $30 million for seasons in which he did not play for the
listen,
Nets.
There's the pro side and the con side. You know you have that coming, and there's also the side of get your money while you're playing and get it working for you. Now, there was a 30-30 about it, and we know, and the numbers are staggering of how quickly professional athletes go broke. Within 2 to 3 years of retiring with the millions they make, they go broke. You hear story after story after story. So imagine if you played, then years later, for a period of 25 years, you're going to get over $1 million a year. How much better that would be for you. So it's double-edged. You could do that and know that's coming, or if you handle your money well or have people handling your money well, getting it while you're playing, and then it's working for you all that time. There was one guy I knew of, and I don't remember the specifics of it. Great player. He played at Pitt. I played against him when I was at Notre Dame, and then he played in the NFL. Bill Fralick, I played against him in the NFL as well.
I remember.
That he had done a deal, I believe, not along these lines, getting paid for 25 years, but I had heard he had done a deal that deferred payments until later in life, that he would be getting money, which, you think about it and you're like, wow, how nice is it? At the time, you're not getting your money, but then when the time hits and you're in your 40s and all of a sudden, here comes that check in Bonilla's case for over $1 million a year, you're thinking, well, that was a great idea. Because, man, for the next, as you said, going to be about $30 million until 2035 is pretty sweet.
The Mets will pay him about twice as much this year as they will pay Matt Harvey. Okay, quickly, on this game of musical chairs. The NBA, all these teams have money. Lots of them have a lot of salary cap money. So you can look at it as a game of musical chairs. The music's going to stop. Is someone going to be left without a chair to sit in?
Yeah.
I'm a little worried it's going to be the Knicks, because I think they just have so many things working against them right now. First and foremost, how bad they've been. Not just last year, but generally speaking, for a long time. This is a franchise that when I was a kid used to sell their past. For the last 10 years at least, they've been selling the future. And when is the future ever going to arrive? And so now, I've got, Broussard telling me, yeah, there's a chance they'll get like Aaron Aflalo and maybe they'll get Greg Monroe. And is that what the fans have been waiting for?
I've said this from the beginning. I don't think the Knicks are going to attract that big-time free agent. In my opinion, if they sign Greg Monroe, that would be the huge win for them. Because they're not getting the big free agents. At least I don't think. Maybe I'll be proven wrong. We'll see what happens this year and next year. But I just don't think it's going to happen.
Stephen A. Smith on SportsCenter yesterday.
It's not about next season. Forget next season. Phil Jackson is here to recruit in free agency, not to be Sam Hinkie in Philadelphia trying to build through the draft. You're Phil Jackson. Name recognition and cachet is supposed to bring marquee free agents to New York City. You don't do that. You didn't do the job. It's a waste of time for you to be there.
You know what? I hate to say it.
That's right.
I agree.
Well, why is Phil here? That's exactly right. It's Phil Jackson. The name, the cachet, the rings. But as many said right away, he's not on the bench. He's in the front office. And we've seen greats that have been either on the floor or on the bench, then go to the front office. Maybe things haven't gone so well. For some it has, and for others it hasn't. So everybody kept saying he'll be the attraction if he decides to go down on the bench and coach, which it doesn't look like he's going to do any at all.
No.
So he's going to stay in the front
People around
office.
him say if you spend time around him, you can see just from a health standpoint. He can't do it.
There were people, I guess, more hoping that than anything else, and then that would be the draw if he's coaching it. But he's not going to. That's not happening. So could he, from the perch of the presidency, bring in people and sell that program?
And the reality of it is, I'm not saying it's wrong to build the way they're talking about now with Porzingis and all this kind of stuff. My point is, you don't need to pay Phil $12 million to do that.
No, but you're paying Phil to bring in the big free agent.
That's right.
And I don't think they're going to get that.
And if they don't, then That's not a good
Still
situation.
got some great paydays.
Stephen A's Fresh Take brought to you by Subway. Get the Subway for the new turkey and bacon guacamole today. Subway, eat fresh. Before we get to Love It or Shove It, and then Tom Penn, our NBA front office insider, interesting stuff from Pete Rose. Pete Rose was at a minor league game yesterday. He does this all the time. He goes to these minor league parks. They'll have a Pete Rose night.
Right.
Yesterday he was visiting the Washington Wild Things in Washington, Pennsylvania. And it's been a tough couple of weeks for Pete because the Outside the Lines report that suggests that more than suggests that he did bet on baseball while he was playing, a player manager in the 80s.
Something that he is vehemently denied.
And absolutely right. And where does that leave him? You and I had talked for a while, and we'll be in Cincinnati in a couple of weeks for the All-Star game, that maybe there was a chance this was going to be his chance for reinstatement, that they could have made this into the biggest show ever.
Because he had been
him back.
He'd been given permission by Major League Baseball to be part of the festivities in Cincinnati, so he is going to be part of it. So, yeah, you're right. We both thought, could this be the time it happened?
Now, on second thought, one of the reasons why, forgetting the Outside the Lines report for a moment, that might not have been a good idea. I think now it's out of the question.
Yeah, agreed.
But why it might not have been a good idea is it would have so overshadowed
the All-Star game.
Everything else in the All-Star game.
It would have. That's
all
true.
the players themselves. Which probably would not have been a good idea. But either way, Rose was asked about the Outside the Lines report and didn't address it at all. But I did think the things he said were interesting. I just continue to find him an interesting person. So here was Pete Rose last night when being asked about the Outside the Lines report about his gambling while he was still playing, speaking from Washington, Pennsylvania.
I usually don't stick my foot in my mouth when I'm in front of a baseball crowd or a baseball press, because I kind of have an idea what I'm talking about. You know, I got a lot of experience with the game of baseball, and the Lord knows I got more experience than anybody with the press. I've had more. Well, I have. I've had more big moments happen to me. You know, whether it's 3,000 hits or 4,000 hits or 41-92 or World Series or All-Star games or hitting streaks. Or being suspended from baseball. I mean, there's been so much going on in my life. I pretty much know how to handle the press. And you guys got a job to do. I understand that. We weren't even going to have a press conference tonight. I said, well, that's not fair to the press. Let's do it. I'm not scared of any questions. There's just certain things that you better not talk about. And I'm here in a good mood, not talking about controversial stuff. I'd rather talk about the good stuff. About the good players, the good teams, how good baseball's having a good year, and about the All-Star game and different things like that.
Well, so there's Pete.
Well, I mean, I understand what he's saying. Everything he said, I get. He does have, he's had all those experiences. I get all that, but I'm not sure what we're doing with that. What we're not doing with that is having him actually be in baseball to discuss those things, because that's not happening. That is gone, and now.
Well, he is working as an analyst, right? So he's coming back. Yes. He's going to work as an analyst, right? There's no reason to think he's not going to be very good at that. I remember hearing him on Michael Kay's show. I don't think this was this past April when he was there, but this was more than that. It might have been a year ago or even longer. But I remember coming on the next morning talking about how it made me sad to listen to him talk, because if you do listen to Pete talk, he follows the game incredibly closely. You would think you were listening to someone like Crucky or one of these guys who gets paid every single day to cover the game. And now, again, Pete does. But at that time, he was not. He gets paid to go sign autographs places and to show up in Washington, Pennsylvania, where the Washington Wild Things play. Mm-hmm. That's what Pete Rose has been reduced to, and that's his own fault. No one is suggesting otherwise. But it did make me kind of sad that he still does love the game as much and does have something to offer. And that is, I guess, a horrible
It is, because he'll never get to offer it. Never get to offer it after.
Maybe as an analyst he will.
Oh, yeah. And then you do get Pete Rose. I mean, and I'm sure there will be plenty of people happy for that, and there will be plenty of people mad for that. I mean, he is, as we've talked about, been the biggest lightning rod in the 16 years we've been together of a love-hate relationship on wherever you stand with him, whether you still think he should be in the Hall of Fame as a player or just completely never thought of in the Hall of Fame or in baseball again, which is probably where it's going to end up.
All right, Mike and Mike, in a little more than 15 minutes, we'll have Tom Penn here in our studio with his thoughts on all the wheeling and dealing as our NBA front office insider. We'll do Love It or Shove It in exactly 1 minute here on Mike and Mike. Take you through some of the big headlines of the day that include huge names. Brett Favre, Scottie Pippen, John Calipari, and more. We'll do that in 60 seconds after this word from Velveeta. Mike, there's a liquid gold rush at your local supermarket. Melty, delicious Velveeta shells and cheese is liquid gold. One taste, and you've got liquid gold fever.
Velveeta shells and cheese has an unrivaled, smooth, creamy taste. Perfectly melty, rich cheese tastes like no other because nothing melts like Velveeta. Guaranteed to gratify. Melts like gold. Looks like gold, feels like gold on the inside. Velveeta shells and cheese comes in other delicious varieties. 2% milk or whole grain, broccoli, queso blanco, and bacon. Easy to make. All you need is water in just 10 minutes. There's gold in them. Our shells, liquid gold, Velveeta shells and cheese. Visit Velveeta.com for great recipes like deep dish pizza casserole, hearty sausage skillet, and more.
It's time for another edition of Love It.
Oh, this is fun.
Or Shove It with Mike and Mike on ESPN Radio.
All right, love it or shove it means Bubba. Brendan Peregrine, our disheveled board operator, whose nickname is Bubba, and he'll take us through some of the headlines of the day we haven't spent much time on this morning, and we'll decide if we love them or shove them. Good morning, Bubba.
Hello.
Hello, Bubba. Did you watch the soccer game last night?
I viewed it for a little while, mainly watching the Mets. But
what are your thoughts on the Bobby Bonilla's contra? Obviously, it's money well spent.
Well, I think it's one of those things that the Mets just get a bad. Like everyone just wants to pile on the Mets. Is it the greatest thing in the world? No, but they did it for a reason, and they did it and got to the World Series that year. And let me just throw out a couple other numbers at you. Manny Ramirez is being paid by the Red Sox till 2027. Ichiro is being paid by the Mariners till 2032. Ken Griffey is being paid into his 50s. Why do those never get brought up? Just because it's the Mets.
How about that?
How about that, Bubba?
That's the most research that Bubba has done.
Because someone was going after his team.
I mean, come on here.
How many years have you been working on the show, Bubba?
About 6.
6 years. That is more work than he has done in the previous 6 years combined.
Well, the Mets are getting a bad rap, and I'm tired of it, all right?
I thought he was
it's not the greatest thing in the world, but let's look at some other things here.
Interesting. I thought he was on the show like a year and a half.
I love that. No, I love it. I love it.
That's great, Bob. I love it.
Yeah, so let's bring up Griffey getting paid to his 50s next time. So, oh, Bobby Bonilla, July 1st. Yes. Oh, Mets.
Let's compare the career accomplishments of Bobby Bonilla and Ken Griffey Jr. and
it's not about career accomplishments.
Well, I mean, on some level, if you're
looking
at...
They got the World Series that year, right? Subway Series. I was there.
Bubba, you know what? I'm on your side. I'm absolutely on your side on this one.
There you go.
Just because I want you to move on.
All right, let's go. Love it or shove it. What are our headlines today, Bubba? Go.
All right, Brett Favre says he thinks he can still play. Love it or shove it.
Oh, blah, 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 blah. Shut up. Just shove it. I mean,
don't say that about Brett Favre.
Just stop. Between that and Herschel Walker, like still play, just stop.
Why?
Okay?
Could you still play?
No, I couldn't still play. I've always said, if somebody asked me to play, I'd go play, and by the third play, I'd get broken in half. You got Dan Quinn inviting Herschel Walker to camp. Please don't tell me Herschel Walker is going to actually practice at camp. He'll get destroyed and also take the spot of some guy who could use some tape to maybe go on another team. I can't because there's no way to prove it. Well, unless Herschel actually put on the pad.
Brett Favre can either throw the ball or he can't. He's 45 years old.
God, I just don't want to. I'm just tired of hearing the guys that have been done for a while, and God knows it took Brett a while to decide he was done, that I can still play. Yeah, I can still play. Well, all I do is hear you complaining how much, the game costs you and all your head injuries when you start, and all of a sudden you can still play.
Well, I don't hear him saying that. You heard Brett saying that?
Yes, Brett has said it. Absolutely, he said it in interviews. Without question. He has said it, and all of a sudden, I could still play. I mean, knock it off. Just knock it off.
Your deep-seated hate of quarterbacks is just frightening.
No, not because I said the same thing about Herschel Walker, and he's a running back. And sit there and talk about how I could still play. Dan Quinn, don't invite him to camp. Don't do that.
Herschel Walker is in better shape now than half the players in the NFL. Have you seen Herschel Walker lately?
Yes, I've seen Herschel Walker, yes. Yeah, go on. Put him in pads and go on a 9-on-7.
Man hasn't eaten real food in 30 years.
Or slept more than 3 hours. And I don't mean, because listen, I was a teammate of Herschel Walker's, and I played against Brett Favre. These are guys who played in my era. I get it, but come on. Just let's move on with our lives here, huh?
I feel there's just a smidge of envy involved in this. In this explosion by
envy,
you,
especially with all the head situation going on now, and Brett Favre talking about, how it may have cost him and what I can remember and not, and then all of a sudden, I could still play. I mean, stop. knock it off.
I'm trying to find some of our Brett Favre, our funny Caliendo stuff from Brett Favre, but we don't have it anymore.
Everything got wiped out.
Yeah, so whatever. But the point of it is, I like it. I don't shove it. I love it.
Shove it.
No quarterback in NFL history has thrown a pass at 45 years old, which Favre is now. If anybody could, he could. Love it or shove it, Bubba. Next.
All right, we talked about this a little earlier, but Scottie Pippen says he was LeBron before LeBron. Love it or shove it.
In the context Scottie Pippen was talking about, I love it. I have no problem with it. I don't believe he ever said he was better than LeBron or a better player than LeBron. But his style of play, from the versatility he brought, especially on the defensive side, I don't have any problem with that at all.
I wasn't in the conversation, so I read the comments, and what it sounded to me like, or what it read like, was that what Pippen was saying was, someone was asking, is LeBron James more like Michael Jordan or more like Magic Johnson? And Pippen was saying, frankly, he's more like me. And to be honest with you, I think that's accurate. If Scottie Pippen was 40 pounds heavier, and that's obviously a big if, he would have looked just like LeBron James. He's that long, he's that athletic, he's that dynamic physically. He could guard 4 positions on the floor. He had a lot more in common with LeBron. Now, LeBron is has developed into a much better scorer than Pippen ever did. If Pippen had ever been the primary scoring option on his team, I don't know how different it would have been. The one year he was there without Jordan, I thought he could have gotten the MVP of the league award, Scottie Pippen. So I knew when I saw those quotes, people were just going to destroy LeBron. Scottie Pippen for saying that. He clearly was not as great a player as LeBron, but provided that's not what he was saying, then I love the comment.
I'm with you. Completely agree.
Bubba, next.
John Calipari will finish his career at Kentucky. Love it or shove it?
What's beyond shove it?
I couldn't shove this one
zero
more.
Chance?
I don't think there's any doubt he ends up back in the NBA at some point. When? No idea. But I definitely think he ends up back in the NBA for some ungodly mega deal.
Yeah, so do I. For any number of reasons. By the way, he has never spent more than 9 seasons in the same place. Next year will be his 7th at Kentucky. I think he winds up in the NBA. I have no idea when. I wouldn't even bet that this is his last college job when all is said and done. Love it or shove it, Bubba. Next.
Well, it sounds like the old Spurs will miss out on a free agent because of Greg Popovich's recruiting approach. Love it or shove it?
No, I love this story.
I love it. Listen, the Spurs are who they are. Anybody who plays in that league knows what Greg Popovich is like and knows what that team has accomplished. So basically he's saying, I don't need to go out on 1201 and give a sell job to this team. We'll go out and we'll recruit, but not at the 1201 time. I absolutely love this, and I don't think it hurts him one bit.
Yeah, for those who don't know what we're talking about, Greg Popovich, for all this talk about where everyone was going to be at 12:01, said, and I quote, "I'm not calling anyone at midnight. I'll be in bed, and if that's the difference in someone coming or not coming, then I don't want them." He said that to the San Antonio Express News. There's nothing not to love about it. I love it 100% of the way. Do we have one more, Bubba? Go.
We got one more. Wade Boggs is selling a boat given to him by the Rays. Love it or shove it?
He got a boat in 1999. The owner asked him, what he would like as kind of a party gift, and he said a fully rigged bass boat. And that's what he got, and it's got.
It was when he got his 3,000 hit, right?
3,000 hit. It's got that. It's got his signature on it, and he never put it in the water once. He figured it would be more valuable to not be in the water, but now he's selling it, looking to get about 50 G's for it. Basically, what he said is, I'm going on a few big hunting trips, and I could use the extra cash. So he got this in '99, never been in the water one time, and in the colors of the team as well. So, we hear about players selling things a lot, and most of the time, it has that sad story written to it, like they're broke, and they need to sell this just for money. Others just say, you know what? It's a bat, or it's a football, or it's a piece of metal, this trophy, and it doesn't have that meaning to me, and I have grandkids that I can get money for this and help with their education or whatever, so I don't have a problem with that. But I think a lot of people do look at it as a sad thing when players have to sell, and I think it is sad if they're completely broke and looking for some bucks just to live. I'm with you on that. Everybody's situation is different. Some bad investments, some do it to themselves, some, get screwed by other people. So everybody's situation is different. I think people generally look at it as, wow, that's a shame if they have to sell memorabilia for money.
He made about $32 million during his playing career. So, I guess it's possible that he needs the $50,000 to go hunting, but I find it hard to believe.
The best of Mike and Mike.
And now, for Geico's edition of Stuff Found in Your Car, we go inside your side door pocket.
Hello, yes, the crumpled receipt with gum in it. From your anniversary dinner, you sprang for expensive wine, your server was Beth. That dinner was a couple $100. Money you could get back if you switched to Geico and saved hundreds of dollars on your car insurance. I bet you'd save that receipt, frame it even. But really, where did I go wrong? Was it the corkage fee?
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit geico.com today.
Mike and Mike.
Everyone across the country is watching our U.S. women performing so well. In particular, last night I thought our best game of the tournament, and a 2-0 win over Germany. And joining us now, the third American ever to score goals in 3 consecutive games in a Women's World Cup. Abby Wambach did it once, Michelle Akers did it once, and Carli Lloyd has done it. And she joins us now from Canada on the Subway Fresh Take Hotline. Carli, Mike and Mike, congratulations. How are you today?
Thanks. Really appreciate you guys having me on. I'm good. A little bit sleepy, but, super excited that we're heading to the final.
All right, take us to 2 separate moments. They're such unique moments, and the emotions have to have been so different. First, to the moment when your team gives up the penalty kick, and you're standing there watching, and Hope Solo, it looked to me like she went and got a sandwich or something, because she was gone for what felt like 10 minutes, trying to ice the situation, and perhaps it worked. So let's start there. What thoughts are going through your mind as you're waiting for that kick that could put you behind?
Yeah, when the ref was giving Julie a yellow card, I had no idea that I didn't see that she pointed to the spot or anything. And then when she finally did, I remember just going up to the ref and asking what happened. And, at the time, I saw Hope leave the goal, and she was totally icing the situation, spraying water on herself, smiling. We're roommates right now, so we were laughing about it last night, what she was doing, but just totally psyching the shooter out. And, I had full confidence in Hope when I was standing there waiting for the girl to kick it. I wasn't really nervous, but I knew that, Hope would come up big. And luckily for us, she went wide of the goal, so it was pretty crazy. And then to get a PK ourselves 10 minutes later, was pretty crazy, pretty epic.
So talk about that. So you're getting ready to take the PK, and they're going to close up on you, and you had talked about it after. So kind of take people inside a little bit on what you're just staring at the ball, and there's obviously a reason for that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know that, PKs aren't easy, and I've been in a World Cup before where I've missed a PK, but I think those are the times where, you learn, you grow, and it happens. But I've had, full confidence in taking them. I've been taking PKs after training every day practically for the last 7 to 8 months. Abby's usually the first taker, and I'm usually the second taker. But I stepped out. I remember picking up the ball. The ball was close to the end line. And I just remember going over there, grabbing it, catching my breath, getting into the zone. I put the ball down on the spot, backed up from the ball, and I think there was a lot going on behind me. I'm not really sure what was going on, but I just told myself, I've done this a million times in training. I know it's going to go in the back of the net, and, I just kept my eyes on the ball the entire time and struck it, and knew that, it was a big goal and something that I needed to sink in order for my team to, gain some more confidence and for us to go up against Germany.
She was born in New Jersey. She plays in Houston. She's Carli Lloyd now, starring for Team USA on to the finals on Sunday in Vancouver against either Japan or England. I think it has been the general perception of most of us watching, particularly those who follow the sport more closely than Mike and I do, like Julie Foudy and others, that the American team, while you have not lost a game in this tournament, were perhaps not playing at your very best during the group stage and leading forward, and last night was a dramatic step forward. Would you agree with that assessment, and to what do we attribute how you have played better in the last game or two?
Absolutely. I think that, we did get off to a little bit of a slow start in our group games, but those group games were really tough, and our defense has been stellar, obviously, from Hope to the back four to, midfield forwards, players on the bench, players stepping in, Kelly O'Hara stepping in off the bench. had a fantastic performance against China, then came in and scored a goal. Morgan Bryan stepping in. It's been great, and I think that we've got the momentum. We have built our confidence in the China game going into this game, and now I think beating Germany, I feel like we're ready to take on the world, and it's perfect timing for us going into the final. Whoever that may be, England, Japan, we'll take either. It really doesn't matter. For us, we want to win this thing, and we've got a job to do. Sunday.
And you mentioned Kelly O'Hara. She scores in the 85th minute on a beautiful cross by you, and she does a great job getting her foot on it for that goal. You sure there's not a little bit of you want Japan for a little bit of revenge off of the last World Cup?
Everybody's talking about revenge. I mean, I guess you can look at it a few different ways. I mean, did we have revenge in the Olympics? Yes, it was the Olympics. It really doesn't matter. I mean, I think Japan is a world-class team. They've been playing really well this World Cup and doing well. So, at the end of the day, we'll be ready for either team.
Talking to Carli Lloyd, U.S. women's national team. She scored in 3 straight games, has the penalty kick yesterday to give the 1-0 lead. U.S. wins 2-0. So let's go back there, and I want to on the field again. When you were lining up for the penalty kick, or when Germany was lining up for the penalty kick, and everybody else is on the line right behind getting ready for possibly a rebound or anything, is there smack talk going on? Are they smack talking you as you're getting ready to kick, or are you guys smack talking Germany when they're getting ready to kick? What's going on?
I don't know. I mean, I was at the top of the D, kind of in that area, getting ready for a rebound, a run-in when, Germany was taking their PK. I'm not really sure what was going on with players closer to Germany. And then on my PK, it's kind of like that movie, one of my favorite movies, For Love of the Game, with Kevin Costner, where he's just clearing the mechanism. Sounds pretty funny, but that's basically what I did. I mean, I didn't hear anything. I was fully focused on taking it. Didn't even know what was going on behind me. I remember it taking, quite a bit, felt like quite a bit of time to step up to actually take it. But just fully zoned in, fully ready, and fully confident for it.
Well, that's a great answer, which clearly means there were tons of smack talking. You just want to talk about it.
Carli, I hope you know how excited and proud everybody back here is watching, and we wish you nothing but the best of luck on Sunday, whoever it is you play. Congratulations on a terrific couple of games for you and your team, and best of luck again this weekend.
Thanks. Really appreciate it, guys.
The best of Mike and Mike.
Having trails again to Luke Ridnour. Ridnour looks like he now has the record for how many times he can be traded in a week. He's at 4 and counting, as he just went from Oklahoma City to Toronto. At least it's from one playoff team to another.
Luke Ridnour, on June 24th, was traded from the Magic to the Grizzlies. On June 25th, he was traded from the Grizzlies to the Hornets, and then from the Hornets to the Thunder. On June 30th, he was traded from the Thunder to the Raptors. And the good news is, if indeed it can be viewed this way, Chris Broussard says he probably will get traded at least one more time over the course of the next few days. He has a fully non-guaranteed contract for next season that can be waived until July 10th, which makes him a very tradable asset. And by the way, he has a wife and 4 sons.
Yes.
As he tries to navigate through life as an NBA player, Luke Ridnour joins us from parts unknown on the Subway Fresh Take Hotline. Luke, where are you right now?
I stay at home. We live outside of Seattle, so summertime, this is where we're at.
Okay, so outside of Seattle for the time being. So just as this has gone on, what has been your reaction? A lot of people are watching this with some degree of amusement, but of course it's not our life, it's your life. What is it like to see yourself being traded repeatedly over the course of the last few days?
Oh, man, to be honest, it's been pretty funny for us, too. Just being in the NBA, you never know what's going to happen. And coming into free agency, I knew I had a contract that was kind of desirable for a trade chip or whatever it might be, and just to start getting the updates daily, it was pretty funny.
And I guess that's the point. Do you just what's the conversations with your agent? Is it just like, call me at the end of the day? I don't need to know what's going on during the day because it might be multiple teams. What's those conversations like?
Yeah, basically, it just came down to him texting me and asking if I want an update. I really just said, just let me know at the end of the day what happens. And my wife would get a funny picture from somebody and show me to kind of keep me updated. So I didn't really know some of them that happened, but at the end of the day, I'd figure it all out.
Mike and Luke Ridnour again. So not constant phone calls. How about your family? Again, you're married. You have 4 sons. You don't know where this is all going to lead to. What's it like for them?
I think for us it's pretty easy just because we don't have to travel around to the cities, and we just sit back and kind of relax. Going into it, I kind of knew I was going to be a free agent anyway, so it's made it easy that way, knowing that I'm not really getting traded to these cities. It's going to just keep getting waived until July 10th and then become a free agent.
And so when you become that free agent, is there a team you'd like to play for?
You know, at this point, I'm just going to kind of feel it out. I'm not sure. I've got 12 good years in, and I'll just take it day by day after that. And if something works out for my family and myself, we'll take a good look at it. If not, it's been a fun run. Is there part of you play for Seattle and Milwaukee and Minnesota and Orlando and Charlotte? So, and then these teams that you've been traded to, is there part of you that you could have one heck of a memorabilia room? I mean, would you be getting all stuff from all these teams and putting it up and hanging it all up? I think it's worth getting a jersey, isn't it?
I would think.
I think I saw the funniest picture I saw was my face on one of those leather jackets with all the NBA team logos on it. I think I should just get that, maybe put that up.
That's a good idea. I like that.
When you did the contract, did you know this was a possibility? I mean, you obviously you've been around forever. You understand the way the financials of the league work. Did you know that this was coming?
Yeah, I had a good feeling about it. And like I said, last year I pretty much just signed a 1-year deal, and I kind of knew this year would be another free agent year. So I didn't expect to be, traded across the country, but I had a good feeling all this would happen.
And listen, you played a long time, and on a serious note, where we're having our fun with this, but on a serious note, is there a possibility, no matter who wants to sign you, that you just may say, I've played enough and it's time for the next part of my life?
Yeah, I think it's something that I'm going to just talk to my wife and family about and pray a lot about and see, if it's a good fit, a good situation, obviously take a look at it, and, even if it is, just kind of see what's next.
What's the best part about being an NBA player? You see this, I was just mentioning as we were having a little trouble with the phone line. Steve Kerr, the coach of the Warriors, they just won a championship, of course, played in the league for a long time. He said the reason that NBA players get paid a lot of money is not because they can shoot and dribble. There are a lot of guys who can do that. But it's because these things happen, because their lives can be uprooted at any moment, because they can get traded, because they get booed, because they hear criticism of themselves. What's the best part about being an NBA player?
I think just the relationships you meet along the way. I think you meet a lot of guys that are in the same situation you are and dealing with the same things you are. And just the relationship I've got to build with a lot of people, and ones that last. Not too many people actually know what you're going through except for the guys that put on the shoes. So those relationships are something that I'll cherish.
How much have you seen the game change? And Mike mentioned you played in Seattle at one point. They don't even have a team anymore.
Right.
We've seen the game change, analytics, three-point shooting, all that kind of stuff. How different is the NBA as a player right now? And in this case, I mean the on-the-court stuff, not the off-the-court. How different is the game now from the game that you came into a dozen years ago?
I think it is different. I think, obviously, it's more spread out. It's more run and gun. A lot of three-point shots. I mean, when I first started, that wasn't a big thing. It was, post up the big guy and play out of that and get double teams. And now it just seems like it's open, and that's all it is. I think the analytics has had a big part of it.
You say it's different. I guess I would ask this: is it better?
It's definitely fun. For a point guard, I love getting up and down. So I think it is. It's funner to watch. I think the way the referees call the game has made it, more of an up-tempo game. So I think it is.
There's a lot of people who look at it now and say that maybe having that dominating post presence isn't the way to go anymore. Some interpreted it that way when the Lakers drafted D'Angelo Russell ahead of Jahlil Okafor. Do you think you can still build a championship team around a big guy in the way the NBA is played now?
I think you can, yeah. If you got a dominant scorer down there who can dominate the paint, and you look at Shaq and those guys, if you have a big guy down there, I think you definitely can.
Well, listen, Luke, again, I mean, all these trades and all that kind of stuff, and it's great to hear that you've had a sense of humor about the whole thing. And best of luck to you and your family. I hope you get another year in there, and we look forward to watching it. And either way, we thank you for a couple of minutes this morning.
Thanks, Luke.
Yeah, I appreciate it, guys. Thanks.
This has been the best of Mike and Mike on ESPN Radio Pod Center. To hear more from Mike and Mike, log on to ESPNRadio.com and become an ESPN Radio Insider.
The best of Mike and Mike.